Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If not, welcome back. And thank you for supporting. I'm Coretta. Today, I will be showing you how I made this all over sublimation 20-ounce skinny tumbler with my Cricut Mug Press. If you want to see how I did it, stick around. The supplies you're going to need to complete this project is a sublimation tumbler, and I purchased this tumbler from Dynamic Ink's Etsy shop. And you're going to need heat gloves, I purchased from Amazon, a sub paper, I purchased from Amazon, a silicone wrap, I purchased this from Amazon, butcher's tape that I purchased from Amazon, Cricut heat tape I got from Amazon, alcohol from your local drugstore, a coffee filter I got from the dollar store, a squeegee that came with my machine, and a ruler. Of course, you're going to need a Cricut Mug Press and a sublimation printer, or a printer that has been converted to a sublimation printer. I have the Epson EcoTank 2750 that I converted to a sublimation printer by putting in sublimation ink instead of the ink that came with the machine. So let's get started. To get started, I always like to measure my tumblers to make sure that my design is the correct size. So you always want to measure your tumblers because even though you may order the tumblers from the same vendor, they may be a different size. So you always want to measure. And how I measure is I take a tape measure, and I got this one from Walmart in the sewing department. You could also use a ruler, but you wouldn't be able to go around the tumbler. So the soft measuring tape would be best for measuring your tumblers for sublimation. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure how tall my tumbler is. So I will put the measuring tape at the top of the tumbler, and then I will put it at and stretch it all the way to the bottom. So as you can see, this tumbler is about 8 inches tall. And so you want to make a note of that. Then after you make a note of that, then you want to take your measuring tape and wrap it around your tumbler like so. And you want to see what the measurement is around the cup, the diameter, circumference, one of those. So this cup is measuring at about 9 1/4. If you can see, the thing is about right there. So that's about 9 1/4. Ooh. So you just want to make sure that you measure your cup. So see, it's about 9 1/4. So you just want to measure your cup to make sure that you have the right measurements for your design. And that was 9 1/4. So we're going to make a note of the 9 1/4. And once we have all of our measurements, then we can go over to the computer or your laptop. And I'm going to be working on a laptop and prepare the design so that I can print the design and sublimate it on the tumbler. Okay, so here we are in Silhouette Studios. Today, I am going to be using the business edition, but you can also use the free version to also set up and print your design. So here we want to set up our page for 8.5 by 11 printing. And we also need it to be landscape because the image is actually wider than 8.5 by 11. So we're going to set up our paper so to print 8.5 by 11 landscape. And to do that, you would select on your right hand side the page setup panel. Then you would select your page setup, which is the first icon on the panel. You will check to make sure that your size is on 8.5 by 11, which is letter paper. You want to make sure that your orientation is on landscape. Then you want your cutting mat to say none. And then you want to select your print borders. Next, we're going to go to our print preferences. So on the top left-hand side, we're going to go to File. And then we're going to go to Print Page Setup. And here you just want to make sure that your paper size is letter 8.5 by 11 and that your orientation is on landscape. And then you would hit OK. So after doing that, we are ready to set up our design. Now, you can get your design from Google or Etsy or any other place that you get your designs from. I found my design on Etsy. So I'm going to add my design to my Silhouette Studio canvas. To do this, I'm going to go to File, Merge, and I am going to locate the image that I want to put on in my canvas that I'm going to use for my Tumbler. So my design is in my downloads folder. I'm going to select my image and then I'm going to hit OK. Once your image has been added to the canvas, you want to size it according to the measurements that you took on your Tumbler. And according to the measurements that you took on your Tumbler, your width of your Tumbler should be 9.375 wide. But I am going to be cutting out this image on this paper. So once it's printed, I'm going to cut it out. So that I can allot for cutting, I'm going to select my image and I'm going to change my width to 9.5. And I just want to make sure that I have enough room for cutting. And also when I get ready to place my design on my Tumbler, I want to have enough room. The Tumbler should also be 8 inches tall. So again, I am going to make it slightly bigger so that when I cut it, I will cut it and it will still fit. So to do that, I'm going to make it 8.125 and hit enter. Now, you can center it onto your page by moving it to the center of the page, or you can go up to the top and hit center to page. Once you have your image sized, you can print it now. So to print it, you go to File, Print. You want to select your sublimation printer. You want to check your preferences by going to Preferences. I have some presets, so I'm going to select the 8.5 by 11 Premium Presentation Matte setting that I have for my EcoTank 2750. I'm going to make sure that my paper size is letter. I want my orientation on landscape. I'm going to go to More Options to make sure that my image is mirror checked. The mirror image option is selected. So I want to make sure that that is there. And then I am going to say okay. I'm going to select okay. And then I am going to print. Now, once we have our image, our design cut out, once we have our design printed out, now we want to cut all the white edges off of the border of the design. You want to cut off these white borders around your image because you just want the color part of the image. If you leave any white along the side, you may, the top or the bottom, you may get some unwanted white space on your tumbler. So I am going to cut off the white edges. I'm going to use a ruler and my X-Acto knife to cut the white edges off, but you could use a pair of scissors to also get yours done. So I'm just going to place the ruler at the edge of the image and I'm just going to cut it off. And this is why I made the design slightly bigger so that I can account for me cutting off the image. In case I cut too much off the bottom, the top, or the sides, it wouldn't matter because I made the image slightly bigger than our cut. So I'm just cutting off the sides. And you want to make sure that you do it in a smooth motion. And you want to make sure that you get all of the white edges. You can't even leave a sliver of white on the design, or you risk transferring unwanted white space to your tumbler. So here I am. I'm going to cut off the last side here. And you also want to make sure that it's straight because you don't want your design to be, your cut to be crooked, which will also force you to put your design on your tumbler crooked. So make sure that it's straight as well. So I cut all the white spaces off, all the sides off, and I'm just going to double check it to make sure that I have no white on it. I'm going to use this gray background here to make sure that there's no unwanted white. So I have my image all cut out, and now let's place it on the tumbler. I have my image all cut out, and before I put the design actually on my tumbler, I'm gonna clean my tumbler. And I'm going to clean it to make sure that I get all of the oils from me handling the cup when I was measuring it and things like that. And I want to make sure that I clean it from any debris that may be on it from travel, from the seller that I bought it from. When you're cleaning your tumbler, I'm going to use alcohol and I'm going to use coffee filters to clean my tumbler and dry my tumbler off, because using coffee filters will keep the lint down. They don't create lint, so you won't have any lint on your tumbler at all. Also, you want to make sure that you move your design out of the way if you're going to be using alcohol. You don't want to get your design wet. Now ask me how I know that. So we are just going to take some alcohol and spray it on the coffee filter, and we're going to clean the coffee filter. Just clean it, get any fingerprints or anything off of it. And then we're going to use the other coffee filter and dry it. We want to make sure that it's dry. So we've cleaned the tumbler. It's dry. And so now we're going to put the design on the tumbler. So let me get the design. So to set up our design on the tumbler, what I am going to do is I'm going to turn my cup upside down so that it's flush with the table. Turn my design upside down because I want it to go, this is the bottom and this is the top. And I am going to place it around the cup and I'm going to wrap it around the cup, squeezing to make sure. This is kind of tricky now because you want to make sure that you get your image on your cup straight and as tight as you could possibly get it. And I want this side to be on the bottom and I want this side to be on the top. So I am going to place the image down and I'm just going to squeeze it as tight as I can. And then I'm going to get a piece of heat resistant tape. And I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm just going to pull the tape and the paper, making sure that it is as tight as possible. And I'm going to do that all the way down this tumbler. So I'm going to put a piece at the bottom here, piece of tape at the bottom. And I'm just going to pull to make sure that I have my design on my tumbler as tight as possible. You want to make sure that your design is on your tumbler as tight as possible because you don't want it to have any air bubbles because air bubbles will cause ghosting. So you want to make sure that it doesn't have any air bubbles. And I'm just going to, now that I have it secured, I'm just going to put tape all the way down the bottom. Just taping the bottom, pulling and taping. So then after you do that, then you want to tape the top of your cup. You want to get a piece of tape and you want to put it on your cup. You want the tape to start on the side where the design overlap. And you want it to be there. You want to put it slightly on the paper and slightly off the paper. But you want it there because you want to be able to pull the tape around the top of the cup. You want to make sure that the design is pulled tight. You want to fold in the sides. You want to make sure that you get that flat as well. You don't want any wrinkles or anything like that because the wrinkles will let air get in. And again, it will cause ghosting. Same thing for the bottom of your cup. You want to put the tape on the side where the overlap is, and you want to pull at the overlap. You want to pull as tight as you can because you want to get this paper to lay down. Again, you want full contact of the design with the tumbler. Okay, so have my tumbler wrapped and I'm ready to put it in the Cricut Mug Press so we can see how this turns out. So here we are at the Cricut Mug Press and I am going to press the tumbler. I'm going to use this silicone wrap here that I purchased from Amazon to get the pressure needed to press the tumbler in the mug press. The silicone wrap is going to allow me to get the pressure that I need in order to press the sublimation image onto this 20-ounce skinny tumbler. The process that I'm going to use is that I'm going to wrap the tumbler and place it in the mug press. And I am going to use the seam of the butcher paper as my guide. I am going to press it for 4 minutes. I'm going to turn it 180 degrees and I am going to press it for 2 minutes. Then I am going to flip it upside down and press it for 4 minutes. And then I am going to turn it 180 degrees again and press it for 2 minutes. So that's the process that I'm going to use. So let's put our tumbler in the mug press. So I'm going to let that press for 4 minutes. Okay, so that's 4 minutes. And now I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. And I am going to press it for an additional 2 minutes. Okay, so that's the 2 minutes. Now I am going to, let me take it out. Grab this here. I'm going to flip it upside down with my seam out. And I am going to place it back into the mug press. This time when I place it in the mug press, I am not going to place it all the way down. I'm going to let it hover over the bottom because I don't want the edge to go all the way down. And so I'm going to hover it over the bottom and I'm going to cook it for 4 minutes. Okay, that's the 4 minutes. Now I'm going to turn it and do it for 2 more minutes. Okay, that's the 2 minutes. And now we're going to take it out and let the cup cool off. And then I'll be back to reveal it. Okay, the tumbler has cooled off some, enough to handle it because it was extremely hot before. So I'm just going to reveal this thing, y'all. Let's hope that it came out right. So far, it's looking pretty decent. You can see some of the image through the paper. Ooh. You can see some of the image through the paper. So let's keep going with it. Like I said, let's hope that everything works out. When you use your scraper, make sure you be very careful because you don't want to scratch your tumbler. Even though it's the bottom, you still don't want to scratch it. So, let's see if I can get this paper off now. Come on. Be nice to me. So far, so good. So far, I'm liking what I see. This review. Okay. It was tight. All right. Ooh. Ooh, that is so pretty. All right. Here's our tumbler. And I think it did pretty good. That's my seam. It's not that bad. You can see a little bit of the overlap, but it's not that bad. It's kind of perfect to me almost. I like it. Oh, I like it, y'all. It came out nice. What y'all think? It came out nice. I like it. I really do. Oh, man. That's so pretty. Looks like we got a little bit of ghosting, but you can't really tell because of the design. But that came out really nice. That came out really, really, really nice. All right. Well, there we go. All right, guys. That's all for now. I hope that you were able to follow along with my process. If you like this video and would like to see more, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will respond back. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.